All right, class. So in the word drive, how do we make our it, I, e say I? Very good. Silent final E, job one. Oh, I'm so excited that we have a chance to practice one of our spelling rules that we haven't used in a while today. Because when we want to add a vowel suffix, oh gosh, it's been a while. What's a vowel suffix? All right, let's start with what's a suffix? Good. A suffix is an ending. Suffix is just a fancy name for an ending. When we want to add a vowel suffix to a word that ends with a silent final E, we have to do something to that silent final E. Class, can you tell me what we have to do to that silent final E? All right, if you said drop it, you are correct. We haven't worked with that rule for a while. Okay, so let's go to page 21. 21. Pause the video till you get there. All right, so when we have a rule that ends with a silent final E, and we want to add a vowel suffix to it, then we have to drop that silent final E, and then we add our vowel suffix. All right, so let's start by writing the word drive here. So just our base word, drive, write it and mark it. All right, there we have our drive. What's going to happen to this E before we add a vowel suffix to the word drive? Good, we're gonna drop it. We're gonna leave it off and then we'll add our vowel suffix. All right, so let's write the word driver. All right, the bus driver was friendly. Driver. All right, so remember, our vowel suffixes always get their own syllable, except the only one that doesn't is our edit, does not always get its own syllable. But so when we add it to the end of a word, it's always going to get its own syllable. So our first syllable is going to be drive, but what are we going to do to that silent final E? Very good, we're going to drop it. And then we'll add our second syllable, So go ahead and write that. All right, and mark it. So let's check and see if, remember, we're still gonna leave the markings here to honor our base word because this is still saying I, so we've got to know that. All right, so drive, but we drop that silent final E. All right. Next, let's do driving. Let's see. I was driving for 4 hours yesterday. Driving. So again, our first syllable is going to be drive, but what happens to that silent final E? Good, we're going to drop it. And then we're going to add our vowel suffix, ing. Go ahead and write driving. Say the sounds till you write them, and then mark it. All right. So again, our first syllable is just the same as in our last word. It's just our base word drive with that silent final E dropped. And then we went in ahead and added ing. All right. And so I'm not sure what you have in your notebook. So down at the bottom, we should have some vowel suffixes. So if you don't, let's go ahead and add some vowel suffixes in. So remember, one of our very common vowel suffixes is, oh my, that does not look beautiful, is this one. What's this, class? Good, edit, past tense ending. So go ahead and write that here if you don't have it. We want to know our vowel suffixes because remember we have different rules about them. This is one of our rules. All right, let's also add ing. Remember that's another one we use all the time. And since we're listing these, we would just separate them with a comma. When we have a list of things, we'll separate it with a comma. And we'll go ahead and add the of her, if you didn't have that one yet. I know some of us probably have those in, but if we don't, we want to get them in here down at the bottom so we can start to remember what our vowel suffixes are. So we don't have to go through the process of figuring out if it's a vowel suffix each time. All right, great. Let's see, the next thing that we're going to do is, so wait, class, what's our past tense of drive? All right, because drive is present tense, that means it's happening now. All right, if there was driving that I did in the past, what would I say? All right, we say drove. We don't use our edit past tense ending. All right, so class, is drive a regular or an irregular verb? All right, so remember, regular verbs use edit for the past tense, and we don't do that for drive. So drive is what kind of verb? Good, irregular. Irregular. All right, so we're going to put drive on our next free line. Go ahead and write and mark drive. Say the sounds while you write them. All right, let's check. Okay. Ooh, so for our next one, remember when we add ing, we're going to get to practice that rule that we just did. So for deriving, what do I do to that silent final E before I drop, or sorry, what do I do to my silent final E before I add that vowel suffix ing? Good, I'm going to drop my silent final E. Okay, but wait, remember, for this form, we haven't done this a lot, we always need our helping verb. We need the is in front. We can't just say I driving. We have to say I am driving, or let's do is because we've been doing is so far. So he is driving quickly. So for this next one, we'll write is driving. Remember, for driving, what do we do to that silent final E? Excellent, we drop it, and then we add our ing. So go ahead and write and mark is driving. So we need our helping verb first, is, and then driving. Remember, we drop that silent final E. All right, and then our past tense is irregular. So class, what's our past tense of drive? Good, it's drove. So go ahead and write and mark drove. All right, let's check it. Okay, great job. So the last thing we're going to do today is we'll put these words in our notebook. So in the middle section of our notebook, page 45. And this is lesson J-4. All right, class, so our first word today was truck. Which k do we use at the end of truck? Good, k, two-letter k, used only after a single vowel that says a, I, or a. Write and mark it. All right, the next word is dump. That one, there's really not anything we need to remember. We call it basic code if everything's just making its first sound. And there's no rules. All right, next is drive. How do we make our I-E say I in drive? Good, silent final E, job 1. All right, in drove, how do we make the next word is drove. And how do we make our o, say o? Good, silent final E, job 1. And our last word is December. What's our first, what kind of letter do we start with? Very good, a capital letter. What's our first syllable in December? Good, D. What's our second one? Good, sem. Which s do we use? Good, ks. And our third syllable? Good, bur. Which do we use? Good, the of her. All right, let's check and see if we got all these words correct. So look at your paper or your notebook. Make sure you have everything written and marked correctly. All right, and we'll do a sentence before we go. Let's see. So the sentence is, I see the dump truck. I see the dump truck. Class, what's our sentence? Good, I see the dump truck. After you've written it, go back and check. Make sure it starts with a capital letter and has an end mark. And then if you have all the words, I see the dump truck, then you will have a complete sentence. All right, have a good weekend, class. I'll see you on Monday.